The Syrian authorities are forcing the Russians out of the Tartus military base in the Mediterranean, so Russian ships will probably have to return to the base bypassing Europe, which is very expensive and time-consuming. This was reported on air by the representative of the Ukrainian Navy, Dmitry Pletenchuk. In particular, he was asked to comment on the information that there were 3 Russian ships in the Mediterranean Sea this morning, including a carrier of 8 Kalibr cruise missiles. There are interesting events unfolding there, even to some extent tragic for the Russians from the point of view of geopolitics. They are gradually moving towards the exit. Of course, it has become a problem for them that they are asked, apparently, from the now former base in Tartus, which they built there for half a century. We are seeing actions that indicate that they are nevertheless forced to leave it, Pletenchuk said. He added that the Russians have places in the region to bunker, to call at the ports of Algeria and Egypt, but these are not military bases. The military man also added that due to the situation in Tartus, Russian ships have logistical problems. According to him, logistics are now quite complicated for the Russians in the Mediterranean Sea, given the closed Bosphorus. They continue to demonstrate their presence there. They show the flag and, of course, they will return here again. But it is practically impossible for the Russians to use the fleet for this as before. They will now have to bypass Europe, come here across the Atlantic, and here they will have to carry out the tasks that their leadership sets for them, because unfortunately they are also trying to advance their interests in Africa. We all understand what these interests are, but this is already becoming quite expensive and time-consuming, Pletenchuk explained. After the fall of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, Russia began withdrawing its scattered garrisons from northern and eastern Syria and from positions in the Alawite Mountains in the west of the country. At the end of 2024, it was known that the Russians still remained at 2 main bases, Khmeimim and Tartus. In January 2025, Ukrainian Navy spokesman Dmitry Pletenchuk said that Russian ships could not enter Tartus because they had not received permission from local authorities. At that time, the Sparta ship, which is used to transport military equipment, was not allowed into the port. It was subsequently reported that the new Syrian administration had terminated the contract with the Russian company for the management and operation of the Tartus port, with Tartus Customs Chief Riyad Judi stating that the investment contract had been cancelled after the Russian company Stroy Transgaz failed to fulfill the terms of the 2019 agreement, in particular investments in infrastructure.
In the temporarily occupied Kherson region, a car with 4 Kadyrovites officers was blown up. This was reported by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense. It is noted that on May 20th, between Skadovsk and Antonovka, in the temporarily occupied territory of the Kherson region, a UAZ Patriot vehicle exploded. There were 4 officers of the Russian occupation forces from the so-called Akhmet unit inside. Not a single one survived. After the first explosion of the car with the Kadyrovites, a second roar was heard. The ammunition that the invaders were transporting detonated, the GUR said. Intelligence notes that for every war crime committed against the Ukrainian people there will be just retribution. As media reported, at the end of April, in the city of Balashika in the Moscow region, a car was blown up near which the deputy head of the main operational directorate of the General Staff of the Russian Federation, Yaroslav Moskalik, was passing at that moment. This military man was engaged in regular planning, coordination and preparation of reports on strikes on Ukraine using missiles and drones. During the war in Ukraine, at least 49,000 Russian servicemen were put on the wanted list on suspicion of desertion or unauthorized abandonment of their units. This is stated in the material of Important Stories. Journalists studied 2 alleged lists of deserters in the Russian army. One of them was published in December 2024 by the Telegram channel, Mobilization of the DPR. The publication claimed that the published file, SOCH-UVO 2024 database, those who left their unit in the southern military district without permission, contains the names of more than 26,000 people. The second list of alleged deserters was published by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, I Want to Live. It includes 36,000 people against whom, allegedly, criminal cases have been opened in Russia for desertion and AWOL. The authors stated that they received the document from sources in the command of one of the military districts of the Russian armed forces. Journalists combined data on deserters from leaks into one table, after first clearing it of duplicates and checking the information against other sources. As noted by Important Stories, the earliest entries in the SOCH-UVO database were made in November-December 2022, the latest, at the end of June 2024. The exact period covered by the I Want to Live database is unknown. Important Stories write that not all the soldiers who ended up in the leaked databases actually evaded service, which is confirmed by public cases and the data from the leaks themselves. Thus, almost 300 people were recognized as dead, captured or missing. Leaks indicate that the main reasons for being placed on the wanted list are abandoning positions at the front, escaping from the territory of a military unit, and refusing to return to service after treatment. The Farewell to Arms project on deserters stated that the leaked lists of names do not reflect the real scale of desertion. Based on these databases, we can say that during the entire war, the number of deserters and people who went to the SOCH is more than 50,000 people. Based on these lists, it is also impossible to draw a conclusion about the number of deserters in Russia at this time, noted the project analyst Alexei Alshansky. He explained that the lists have gaps in the data, and they do not cover the last year of the war. Ukrainian aviation has carried out airstrikes on Russian army positions in the occupied territories of Donetsk and Kherson regions. As a result of the strikes with French-made Hammer and US-made JDAM bombs, hangars where armored vehicles were stored, ammunition depots and buildings where military personnel were stationed were blown up. Military equipment and personnel were also destroyed. It should be noted that recently, Ukrainian aviation has scaled up its strikes on the positions of the occupying Russian army with Western-made air bombs both in the occupied territories and in the border regions of Russia. As a result, a large number of military headquarters and ammunition depots have been destroyed.